Biden had dozens of executive orders on day one that weakened immigration enforcement. He got rid of Trump's Remain in Mexico program. He suspended all interior deportations. He started up parole programs to fly migrants into the United States. All of this made it easier for migrants to come here and put more strain on the system. Now, Kamala can say, look, we're trying to fix this and everything else, but the question remains, as CBS's Whitaker said, well, why didn't you do it sooner?
Welcome to the Debrief, where we talk with the Washington Examiner's top journalists about the headlines they're covering and where the story's going next. I'm Sarah Bedford, and I'm here with commentary editor Carroll. Conn, the White House in particular, and Democrats have accused Republicans of spreading misinformation related to FEMA and the money that it spent on illegal immigration versus hurricane recovery. What's really going on there?
Sure. I mean, the short story is Trump is right. Vice President Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have basically turned FEMA from their first day in office from an agency designed to handle natural disasters into an agency that resettles illegal migrants. There's a number of programs that they use. One is the FEMA's Emergency and Food Shelter Program, and another one is called the Shelter Services Awards Program. So I don't know if you remember, but you have all of these cities across the country, Denver, New York, Washington, D.C., all saying, look, we don't have the resources to pay for the education, housing, food for these migrants. We need money from the federal government to help feed and house these people. Well, the way the federal government does that is through FEMA grants. So Congress would pass, and then the White House would allocate all of this money to FEMA, who would then award different grants to different cities to help house and feed these people. Now, you can argue and say, look, Congress appropriated this money. FEMA didn't steal this money from the disaster relief funds, but still, this is a priority that distracted FEMA's leadership, took from FEMA's resources and put it to another purpose that they should never have been involved with. The migrant crisis should never have existed. The border crisis should never have existed. FEMA should never have been trying to get help for all these migrants because they shouldn't have been allowed in the country in the first place.
Harris was pressed on the migrant crisis this past week. She stumbled through some answers on 60 Minutes.
Why didn't your administration take those steps in 2021?
The first bill we proposed to Congress was to fix our broken immigration system. A bipartisan group of members of the United States Senate, including one of the most conservative members of the United States Senate, got together, came up with a border security bill. Donald Trump got word that this bill was afoot and could be passed, and he wants to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. So he told his buddies in Congress, kill the bill.
What do you think about the strategy that the Kamala campaign has had in addressing this by sort of saying their hands are tied because a bipartisan piece of legislation that came 3 years after the start of the crisis wasn't passed?
It's a roll of the dice. I think the entire media strategy of trying to get out there and trying to put Kamala in front of media was a gamble on their part. Look, Biden had dozens of executive orders on day one that, weakened immigration enforcement. He got rid of Trump's Remain in Mexico program. He suspended all interior deportations. He started up parole programs to fly migrants into the United States. All of this made it easier for migrants to come here and put more strain on the system. Now, Kamala can say, look, we're trying to fix this and everything else, but the question remains, as CBS's Whitaker said, well, why didn't you do it sooner? And, very clearly they did not. And the American people are upset. They want less immigration, not more. And the choice that they have this November is pretty clear.
And finally, Kamala Harris pointing out another lie from the Trump campaign, says she's not going to be telling people what kind of cars they can drive. Is she, though? Is she going to?
Yeah, no, she is.
She has, right?
She has. Look, before she was president as a senator, she co-sponsored legislation with Bernie Sanders that would have amended the Clean Air Act to direct the Environmental Protection Agency to basically have 50% of cars be all electric vehicles by 2030, and then they would up it every year after that till by 2040, all new vehicles sold would have to be electric. So in other words, no one could buy a new car, a new gas-powered car. Now, if that's not telling you what car to drive, I don't know what is. Now you can say, oh, that was, her as a senator. Now she's more moderate in the Biden White House. But the problem is the Biden administration used that exact same law, the Clean Air Act, to direct the EPA to have all cars, or not all cars, but 60% of cars have to be electric by 2030, and then they up it to basically 70% just 2 years later by 2032. Again, by restricting the cars that Americans can buy, you are essentially saying you must buy electric. That's what her policy was as a senator, and that's what the Biden policy is now, and she has never criticized it or distanced herself from it in any way.
Well, Conn, thank you so much for being here. You can get more writing from Conn and the rest of the commentary team at washingtonexaminer.com.